one man can claim.
10 R&B and soul bands didn't just change music together, they changed it again, separately. Because from inside each one of these groups, at least one member stepped away, stepped forward, and built a solo career that either matched or exceeded everything the group had already done. These are the 10 R&B and soul bands that launched the most successful solo careers in music history. Number 10, The Temptations. David Ruffin didn't leave the Temptations. They fired him, and that firing set off a solo career that nobody saw coming, at least not the way it actually happened. You probably know the voice first, that raw, graveled tenor on My Girl, the ache in Ain't Too Proud to Beg. That was David Ruffin, the frontman of arguably the greatest R&B vocal group in history. But by 1968, his behavior inside the group had become impossible. Cocaine, ego, missed rehearsals. He started demanding the group rename themselves David Ruffin and the Temptations, the same arrangement Motown had made with Diana Ross. The other members said no. Then he missed a concert in Cleveland to attend a show with his girlfriend, and here's what I didn't know until I started digging. His girlfriend was the daughter of Dean Martin. They fired him on June 27, 1968. He went straight to Motown as a solo artist. And his debut single, My Whole World Ended, The Moment You Left Me, hit the top 10 on the R&B chart in 1969. That's a very specific kind of response to the people who showed you the door. But here's what makes the Temptations so remarkable on this list. Because this story doesn't belong only to Ruffin. Eddie Kendricks, the falsetto, that angelic upper register on Just My Imagination. He walked out of the group in 1971 on his own terms, and what followed was stunning. By 1973, Kendricks had back-to-back number ones, Keep On Truckin' and Boogie Down, both hitting the top of the R&B and pop charts. 9 consecutive R&B top 10 singles in total. If you've ever heard Keep On Truckin', come on at a family cookout and just nodded like you'd been waiting for it, you know that song has a permanence that decades can't touch. One group, 2 major departures, 2 solo careers with real staying power, and the Temptations were still standing through all of it. Number 9, Jodeci.
Talk to me, I really wanna meet you, girl.
Before I get into this one, I need you to know something.
See your face, girl.
When K-Ci and JoJo walked away from Jodeci to try something on their own, a lot of people thought they were making a mistake. And honestly, you can understand why. Jodeci was one of the defining R&B groups of the early 90s. Freaking You, Come and Talk to Me, 3 platinum albums, raw, gritty, almost dangerous energy. The Haley brothers, K-Ci and JoJo, were the voices at the center of all of it. So the question was legitimate. Could they translate that into something completely different? In 1997, they answered.
I really wanna know. Come and talk.
Their debut album as K-Ci and JoJo was called Love Always, and it was a deliberate pivot. Where Jodeci was charged and carnal, Love Always was tender. ballad-driven.
I get my thoughts together.
The first singles did well, but nothing explosive came through. And then came the third single off that album, January 1998, All My Life. JoJo had written it as a personal tribute to his 7-year-old daughter. When that song hit radio, something clicked that can't be manufactured. It debuted at number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went to number 1 the following week, and stayed there for 3 weeks.
Can I talk to you? I really
3 Grammy nominations, and a song that spent 35 weeks on that chart. And if you were in love in 1998, I mean really in love, the kind where a song feels like it was written for your specific situation, All My Life was yours. You know the one.
such a beautiful tone. The way you dress and
Some of y'all just felt that in your chest right now, I can tell. Here's the thing about K-Ci and JoJo that goes deeper than the Billboard numbers.
I talk to you. I really wanna know.
They started in gospel music, children singing in their father's group in North Carolina. And All My Life, underneath all its R&B polish, is a gospel-inflected prayer dressed up as a love song. That origin never left them. They took everything Jodeci had built, the intensity, the vulnerability, the willingness to go somewhere emotionally raw, and turned it into something quieter, something that lasted. Real talk, only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 8, The Impressions. By the time Curtis Mayfield left The Impressions in 1970, he was already a legend, and the group he left was already a piece of American history. You know the songs: People Get Ready, Gypsy Woman, It's All Right, anthems, songs the civil rights movement used as fuel, songs that meant something beyond music, beyond charts, beyond any industry conversation.
You don't need no ticket.
Curtis Mayfield had been writing those songs since he was 14 years old, when he first joined the group. By 1970, he'd spent over a decade building something that mattered. And then he walked away, to go solo, to start his own label, Curtis Records.
I want to tell you this. People get ready.
To speak on his own terms. His debut solo album, Curtis, landed in 1970, and his voice, that quiet, searching falsetto, hit differently, with nothing around it to soften the message. But the moment that changed everything came 2 years later.
We may be young. You have some that may have a whole lot of...
A filmmaker named Gordon Parks Jr. was working on a movie about the drug trade in Harlem. Controversial, raw, Hollywood didn't know what to do with it. He asked Mayfield to score it. And here's where the story turns into something that still gets me.
And then we also have some that may even eat off of food stamps.
Curtis Mayfield wrote a soundtrack that served as a moral counter-argument to the film itself. Where the movie leaned into the seductive side of street life, the music interrogated it, quietly, devastatingly. The Superfly soundtrack hit number 1 on the Billboard 200 album chart in October of 1972. Number 1 on the R&B chart simultaneously.
And when you can feel it deep down in your heart,
The singles: Freddie's Dead and Superfly both cracked the pop top 10, and the album outsold the movie it was created to accompany. Outsold the movie, Let That Land, nominated for 4 Grammys, a gold certification, named one of the most important albums ever recorded.
Have to worry about it no more. Yeah,
Curtis Mayfield had left one of the most significant groups in soul history and then made something more essential than anything the group had ever done. Most artists who leave legendary groups spend years trying to escape the shadow. Curtis didn't escape it. He cast a bigger one. Number 7. LaBelle. Here's a story that almost didn't happen. Patti LaBelle was terrified of going solo, not of performing. She'd been commanding stages since she was a teenager, singing in Philadelphia church choirs, not of the spotlight. She and her group LaBelle had already made history. They were the first black vocal group to perform at the Metropolitan Opera House, the first black vocal group to land the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and in 1975, their single Lady Marmalade shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But when the group split in 1976, after a decade of performing together through name changes and reinventions and every battle the industry could put in front of them, Patti LaBelle said it plainly in an interview years later. I was actually terrified of going solo because everything is on your shoulders. She went anyway. The first few years were difficult. Albums came, moderate success, critical recognition, but the mainstream breakthrough that matched her talent didn't arrive immediately. And if you've ever done the work, put everything into something, and watch the results fall short of what you deserved, you know that's a specific kind of patience the industry doesn't always reward. Then 1984, the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack, New Attitude and Stir It Up, crossed over to pop audiences and became radio staples. The R&B chart loved them first, both hitting the top 5 there. And then in 1986, her duet with Michael McDonald, On My Own, hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Her album Winner in You hit number 1 on the albums chart the same year. 13 top 10 R&B singles total, 2 Grammy-winning albums, Burnin' in 1991, Live, One Night Only in 1998, a legacy that grew bigger every decade until calling her the godmother of soul wasn't a compliment, it was just the truth. And here's what I want to leave you with about Patti LaBelle. The fear she felt was real, and she stood in it, and recorded anyway, and performed anyway, and kept showing up until the music caught up with the voice. That's a different kind of courage. Number 6, Rufus. Here's a question. What does it sound like when a band's lead singer is so transcendently gifted that the band itself can no longer contain her? It sounds like Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan joined Rufus in the early 1970s. Chicago-based group, multiracial, multi-genre, funky and soulful and slightly dangerous in the way the best music always is. Their 1974 single, Tell Me Something Good, a song Stevie Wonder had written just for them, gave them a top 3 pop hit and a Grammy Award. and it introduced the world to a voice that had no ceiling. You know the feeling when a singer hits a note that makes something in your body respond before your brain catches up? That physical, involuntary recognition? That's what Chaka Khan's voice does. It's not just technically impressive, it's alive in a way that stops a room. By 1978, she began a solo career while still working with Rufus, a delicate balance that very few artists manage without losing both. Her debut solo single, I'm Every Woman, written by Ashford and Simpson, was an anthemic declaration that announced exactly who Chaka Khan was outside of any band format. And what's remarkable is that nearly 15 years later, in 1992, Whitney Houston covered I'm Every Woman for the Bodyguard soundtrack, and it became one of Whitney's signature songs. Two of the most powerful voices in R&B history connected through one song. That lineage runs deep. And I'd argue, and I'm putting this out there, that Chaka Khan is among the most underrated voices in the entire history of R&B. The technique, the range, the emotional intelligence in every single delivery. I'll wait for the comments on that one. Then came 1984, I Feel For You, a Prince penned song. Mel Mel rapping her name to open the track. Stevie Wonder on harmonica. The song topped the R&B chart and hit number 3 on the pop chart. Grammy winner, mainstream breakthrough, a career-defining moment nearly a decade after Rufus first introduced her to the world. Rufus gave her the stage. The solo career gave her the full story. Number 5, The Supremes' 12 number 1 hits with The Supremes, Then She Left, and Kept Going. Diana Ross announced her departure from the Supremes in January 1970.
You should ever miss the arms that used to hold you so close, or the lips.
By that point, the group had been everything. The most successful American vocal group of the 1960s, the crown jewel of Motown, 12 Billboard Hot 100 number 1s. She and the group had performed everywhere that mattered. She left all of that to step into a solo future that had no guarantees. Her debut solo single was Reach Out and Touch, Somebody's Hand, in 1970. It went top 20. And then she recorded Ain't No Mountain High Enough, a song that had existed at Motown before, and remade it into something entirely her own. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, her first solo chart topper, in the first year. That sets a tone. But here's what gets me about Diana Ross's story.
One guarantee, you'll always have me.
It's not just the chart success, as remarkable as that is, it's the way she kept reinventing. Oscar nominated for Lady Sings the Blues in 1972, playing Billie Holiday on film, then Touch Me in the Morning, then Love Hangover, which hit number 1 on the pop, soul, and dance charts simultaneously in 1976 and reinvented her as a disco icon. Then I'm Coming Out in 1980, and that last one, stay with me on this, I'm Coming Out has functioned as an anthem for the LGBTQ+ community for over 4 decades.
You should ever miss the arms that used to hold you so close, the lips.
And whether that was fully intended from the moment of recording, I'll let you decide. But Diana Ross sang it like she knew exactly what it could mean to someone who needed to hear it. 12 number ones with the Supremes, 6 more solo, 18 number ones across 2 distinct phases of one career, in a genre that disposes of artists faster than it discovers them. The Supremes gave the world Diana Ross. Diana Ross went and gave the world something more. Number 4, the Commodores. The band didn't want him to leave, and honestly, you understand why. Lionel Richie was the reason the Commodores were what they were, not the only reason. The Commodores were a full, funky, multi-dimensional group. Brick House is proof enough of that. But it was the ballads. 3 Times a Lady, Still, Easy. Those are the songs that crossed every demographic line. Country audiences loved them. Pop audiences loved them. R&B audiences loved them. A room full of strangers could hear those songs and feel exactly the same thing at the same moment. And as Richie's profile kept rising, writing Kenny Rogers' massive 1980 number 1 Lady, then recording Endless Love with Diana Ross in 1981, a song that sat at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 9 weeks. Or is someone loving you? Tell me. It became clear that he was running out of room inside the group's walls. In 1982, he officially departed. What followed was one of the most concentrated commercial runs in pop music history. His debut solo album produced Truly, which hit number 1. Then came Can't Slow Down in 1983. All night long, number 1 on the pop, R&B, and adult contemporary charts at the same time. Hello, which spent 6 weeks atop the Billboard Hot 100 and became arguably the definitive adult contemporary ballad of that entire decade. Then Say You Say Me, which hit number 1 in 1985 and won the Golden Globe for Best Original Song. Can't Slow Down became a diamond album, over 10 million copies sold in the United States alone, Grammy for Album of the Year, and in total, Lionel Richie has sold nearly 90 million records worldwide as a solo artist, more than he ever sold with the Commodores. Here's the thing about that. The Commodores were great, but what Lionel Richie built on his own, that belongs to a different category entirely. And the Commodores are still out here too, still performing, still claiming the funk that was always theirs. Number 3, New Edition. Name another band that launched 5 separate successful solo careers. Not one iconic breakout. 5, from one group, all within a few years of each other, all charting, all significant, all still celebrated today. New Edition formed in the late 1970s in the Roxbury neighborhood of Boston. 5 teenagers: Bobby Brown, Ricky Bell, Michael Bivins, Ralph Tresvant, Ronnie DeVoe, with one stated goal: to be the next Jackson 5. They literally chose the name as a direct tribute. The new edition of the dream, and they nearly got there. Candy Girl, Cool It Now, Mr. Telephone Man. Teen pop gold, but Bobby Brown was always pushing against the frame. Too restless, too much. The group let him go in 1986, and what he built in response was something nobody fully predicted. Don't Be Cruel. 1988, the best-selling album of that entire year. 5 top 10 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. A Grammy for every little step. Bobby Brown didn't just succeed. He defined what male R&B sounded like for a generation. Meanwhile, the group brought in Johnny Gill, recruited Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis as producers, and made Heartbreak, one of the defining albums of the New Jack Swing era. And then they scattered. Ralph Tresvant released Sensitivity, a top 5 R&B hit. Johnny Gill released My, one of the most played songs on late-night Quiet Storm radio. And then Ricky Bell, Michael Bivins, and Ronnie DeVoe formed Belle Biv DeVoe. Their debut album, Poison, went quadruple platinum. The title track became an anthem that a generation claimed as their own. If you grew up in the early 90s with this music surrounding you, if New Edition's world was your world, you already know what this entry means. And I know you're nodding right now. In 1990 alone, members of New Edition dominated the R&B charts in 3 separate configurations simultaneously. Then they reunited in 1996 for Home Again, an album that debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. They didn't become the next Jackson 5, they became something harder to duplicate. Number 2, Destiny's Child. This one starts in Houston, Texas. 1990, a group of girls who are still children forming a group called Girls Time. Beyonce Knowles, Kelly Rowland, Latavia Robertson, LaToya Luckett. None of them are teenagers yet, and they are already serious. They lose on Star Search. They rebuild. They change names. They lose members. They survive the public drama of a lineup change that the whole industry watched. They come out the other side as a trio, and by the early 2000s, they are one of the most commercially dominant girl groups in the history of popular music. Say My Name, Survivor, Independent Women, Bootylicious. Songs that redefine what it meant for women to claim power inside pop music. But the story for this list isn't just about Destiny's Child as a unit. It's about what those women built after. Kelly Rowland stepped out and built a solo career that produced the 2002 chart topper Dilemma with Nelly, one of the biggest R&B crossover hits of that decade. LaToya Luckett, one of the original members, released her self-titled debut in 2006, and it debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Let That Land. A founding member, replaced before the group's biggest hits, came back years later and landed at the top of the album chart on her own terms. And then there is Beyoncé, Dangerously in Love in 2003, then a solo catalog that became something that defies easy summarization. Multiple Grammys, multiple chart-topping albums. A Coachella headlining set that people still discuss as one of the most significant live performances in modern music history. Lemonade, Renaissance, Cowboy Carter. Each project more ambitious and more culturally present than the last. Destiny's Child gave Beyoncé her foundation, and then Beyoncé went and built something that no foundation fully explains. A generational artist, a living canon. The girl from that group in Houston didn't just have a solo career, she had an era. Number 1, the Jackson 5 brothers, Gary, Indiana, Motown Records, 1969, and a lead singer who was 11 years old. The Jackson 5 made history before the industry was ready for them. Their first 4 singles, I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There, all went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Not 1, not 2, 4 consecutive number 1s to open a career. No group before them had done that. No group has done it since. And at the center of every single one of those was a child named Michael. You already know where this is going. But stay with me for a second, because the arc of Michael Jackson from that Jackson 5 stage to his solo career is more extraordinary than even the story we think we know. His first solo number 1 came in 1972 with Ben. He was 14, a ballad written for a fictional rat in a horror film sequel. He sang it like it was the most important thing he'd ever recorded, and it went to number 1. But the transformation, the real one, came in 1979, Off the Wall, produced with Quincy Jones. Michael was 21, and this was not a child singing anymore. This was an artist claiming his identity. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock With You, both hit number 1, 4 top 10 singles from one album, and an announcement, made in sound, that the kid from the Jackson 5 had become something else entirely. Then 1982, Thriller. 37 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200, 7 top 10 singles from a single album, the first time in history any album had done that. Billie Jean spent 7 weeks at number 1. Beat It spent 3. The best-selling studio album in the history of recorded music. 13 number 1 singles as a solo artist. The only artist, ever, with top 10 hits on the Billboard Hot 100 across 5 consecutive decades. The 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. And here's what I keep coming back to. The Jackson 5 formed because those brothers wanted to be together, to build something together, as a family. And from inside that, from inside 5 kids chasing a dream in Gary, Indiana, came the most successful solo artist in the history of popular music.